Welcome. Tonight, I invite you on a journey to unravel the paradoxical story of a plant unlike any other. For tens of thousands of years, it has existed alongside humanity, thriving in harsh terrains, a wild whisper on the wind. To some, it offered healing, solace, a sacred path to the divine. To others, it was a potent toxin, a gateway to ruin. This very plant, once venerated by Chinese emperors and sought by British queens for comfort, became the hunted criminal of the 20th century. It bears countless names across cultures: cannabis, hemp, ganja, and the most notorious marijuana, a name synonymous with fear and prejudice. How did a simple weed from Mother Earth ignite such profound cultural, racial, and political conflicts spanning centuries? Tonight, let us cast aside modern judgments and contentious debates. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and let's journey back to where it all began. The windswept steppes of Central Asia, 12,000 years ago, at the close of the Ice Age. It was here, from the majestic Himalayas to the vast Mongolian plains, that our ancestors, transitioning from hunter-gatherers to settlers, first domesticated this extraordinary plant, even before staples like wheat or barley. This is the true origin story of the world's most pursued plant. In those primordial times, our ancestors cultivated this plant not for its intoxicating properties, but purely for survival. The cannabis plant, or more accurately, the hemp plant as it was known then, proved to be an invaluable gift from nature. Its stalks contained incredibly strong and durable fibers. Ancient peoples ingeniously wove these fibers into sturdy fabrics for clothing, protecting them against the biting cold. They braided them into robust ropes to tether livestock, and skillfully crafted them into fishing nets for the icy rivers. The plant's seeds, rich in protein and essential fats, served as a vital food source, staving off hunger during harsh winters. It can truly be said that the very foundations of early human civilization were intricately bound together by the versatile hemp fiber. Then, a profound twist of fate unfolded during a long, frigid night on the desolate steppes. As the bone-chilling cold gripped the land, someone, perhaps by accident, tossed dried hemp branches, still bearing their flowers and seeds, into a warming fire. As flames licked the plant material, a thick, pungent smoke billowed upwards. A strong, earthy aroma, distinctly different from pine or oak, permeated the confined space of their cave dwelling. Those gathered around the fire inhaled this unusual smoke. Soon, they began to feel a profound change. The gnawing fear of predators lurking in the darkness beyond vanished. Aches from their arduous labor subsided, and their minds became light, almost weightless. They perceived the fire's dancing embers with newfound vividness, and the whispering wind seemed to carry the voices of their ancestors. In that altered state, they believed they were touching the world of spirits. The brilliant ancient Greek historian Herodotus, living in the 5th century BCE, left us a chilling yet captivating account of the Scythian people. The Scythians were fierce nomadic warriors of the Eurasian steppes, renowned for their unparalleled skill in archery from horseback. Herodotus meticulously documented their unique funeral rituals. Following the burial of a loved one, the Scythians would erect small, insulated tents made of felt and wool, sealing all openings. They would heat stones until they glowed red-hot in a fire, then carefully bring them inside the tent. Upon these incandescent stones, they would cast hemp seeds and flowers. Instantly, an incredibly dense smoke would billow forth, far thicker than any Greek steam bath. Within the smoke-filled confines, the Scythians did not mourn with tears. Instead, they rejoiced, inhaling deeply and celebrating, convinced they communed with the departed and the divine. That sacred smoke, it seems, dissolved their sorrow and loss into the void. This, dear friends, is the earliest historical account of cannabis being used to alter the mind. For the ancients, it was not recreation or a vice. It was a profound religious ritual, a sacred bridge between life and death, helping them traverse the unbearable pain of losing a loved one. Imagine the scene. A gathering under the open sky, the air thick with the fragrant smoke, eyes closed in shared grief, finding solace and perhaps a glimpse of the beyond. This ritual offered a spiritual release, a collective journey through sorrow, transforming despair into a shared experience of transcendence. It was a testament to the plant's power, not just as a material resource, but as a key to unlock deeper states of consciousness, vital for communal healing and spiritual connection in a world filled with unknowns. Awakening from his ordeal, plagued by hunger and thirst, Shiva sampled the leaves of a nearby plant. Instantly, an unparalleled sense of refreshment surged through him. His weariness vanished, and his mind became remarkably clear and peaceful. From that moment, Shiva adopted this sacred plant as his favored sustenance. The people reverently named him Lord of Bang. What is Bang? Unlike those who would smoke it, ancient Indians consumed cannabis orally. Bang is a thick, emerald green drink, crafted from crushed cannabis leaves and flowers, blended with fresh milk, almonds, honey, and warming spices like cinnamon and ginger. To this day, thousands of years later, during the vibrant Holi festival, Indians openly and legally partake in Bang. For them, consuming Bang is not an indulgence, but a sacred act, a purification, a pathway to spiritual communion. In the ecstatic state induced by Bang, they believe they are under the divine protection of Lord Shiva. In the East, cannabis is not merely a plant, it is medicine, a deity, revered and protected. However, as this sacred plant began its journey westward, its narrative took a darker turn, becoming entwined with violence, mystery, and a dangerous allure. In the 11th century, amidst the rugged mountains of what is now Iran, a grim legend emerged, sowing the first seeds of fear regarding cannabis in the Western mind. This was the myth of the Hashishin, also known as the Order of Assassins. Returning Crusader knights recounted tales of a secret sect led by a figure known as the Old Man of the Mountain. He allegedly used a concentrated cannabis resin, hashish, to intoxicate young men. In their drugged stupor, they were led to a hidden garden, filled with fine wine, beautiful women, and exotic flora, convincing them they had experienced paradise. Upon waking, craving to return to this heaven, they would willingly undertake the old man's most brutal assassination missions, even sacrificing their own lives. From this chilling name, Hashishin, the Western word assassin was born. While modern historians largely dismiss this story as exaggerated fiction, it undeniably planted a deep-rooted prejudice. Ironically, the very plant once linked to violence and fanaticism found its way into Europe through the most unexpected channels. None other than Napoleon Bonaparte himself inadvertently became its primary conduit. In 1798, Napoleon led his expeditionary forces to Egypt, a predominantly Islamic land where alcohol was strictly forbidden. The French soldiers, accustomed to their boisterous wine-filled celebrations, quickly grew bored. It wasn't long before they discovered the local populace's preferred form of entertainment, consuming and smoking hashish. Thousands of French troops became captivated by this resin. Upon their return to Paris, they carried this exotic custom back with them, a curious souvenir from the mystical East. By the mid-19th century, in the opulent capital of Paris, cannabis had firmly established itself within the intellectual elite. A secret society, Le Club des Hashichins, the Club of Hashish Eaters, was founded by a cadre of the era's most renowned writers, poets, and artists. including literary giants like Victor Hugo, Alexandre Dumas, and Charles Baudelaire. This plant, once a revered friend, held a place of honor in royal medicine cabinets, immortal literature, and sacred ceremonies. Yet, in just a few short decades, its reputation plummeted. How did this once valued herb transform into a demonized substance? The answer lay across the vast ocean, within a young nation, the United States, burgeoning with power, yet plagued by deep ethnic and political strife. Here, a nightmare began with a single new name, marijuana. A name that, unlike its scientific counterparts, resonated with prejudice and hostility. The early 20th century saw the Mexican Revolution, driving thousands across the border into southern U.S. states. They brought with them not just families and culture, but a simple habit: smoking dried leaves rolled in newspaper or corn husks after arduous days in the fields. They called it marijuana. White Americans, accustomed to cannabis in pharmacies, didn't recognize this foreign-sounding word. Marijuana felt alien, wild, mysterious, instantly suspicious. The rising tide of Mexican immigration into the United States quickly led to widespread xenophobia. Immigrants were not just seen as new arrivals, but were swiftly associated with their perceived habits and cultural practices. Local newspapers in Texas, sensing the underlying anxieties of the native-born population, seized the opportunity to spread inflammatory and false rumors. These sensationalized articles claimed that marijuana, a substance associated with these new arrivals, bestowed supernatural strength upon Mexicans, driving them into a state of uncontrollable madness. They suggested it rendered users immune to pain, transforming them into bloodthirsty aggressors. The propaganda went so far as to claim that a single inhalation could turn a gentle, hard-working farmer into a ruthless, remorseless killer preying on innocent citizens. This narrative deliberately fueled a deep-seated fear, painting the immigrant population as a dangerous other. This campaign was a textbook example of psychological warfare, a classic tactic employed in both politics and media. The strategy centered on a deliberate act of semantic manipulation, replacing the scientific medical term cannabis with the pejorative slang marijuana. This linguistic shift was crucial. It allowed the media and American politicians to successfully sever the plant's ties to its long and respected history in medicine, effectively stripping it of any legitimate context. Instead, they meticulously crafted a new identity for marijuana, inextricably linking it to societal ills such as poverty, crime, and, most powerfully, to foreign outsiders. What was once an esteemed pharmaceutical, occupying a place of prominence in medical cabinets, was now systematically dragged through the mire of racial discrimination, becoming a symbol of everything feared and despised. Yet, these isolated, fear-mongering rumors festering in the border regions would never have escalated into a pervasive national campaign without the meticulous planning and influence of a singular master architect. This was a man whose formidable name would eventually become indelibly etched into the annals of history, forever synonymous with the relentless war on drugs. He possessed a chilling genius for turning ambient public anxieties into a potent, finely honed political weapon, leveraging fear with unmatched precision. We now turn our attention to this pivotal figure, introducing Chapter 5. Harry Handlinger, Architect of Prohibition. His vision, however skewed, would reshape America's approach to drugs for generations. Why did a billionaire like William Randolph Hearst harbor such intense animosity towards cannabis? Many historical theories have been put forward. One prominent theory suggests it stemmed from Hearst's vast timberland holdings and his paper mills, which manufactured paper from wood pulp. Hemp, with its ability to produce paper that was cheaper, more durable, required fewer chemicals, and was significantly more environmentally friendly, represented a direct and formidable threat to his lucrative business empire. If hemp were to become the predominant raw material for paper production, Hearst's immense fortune would undoubtedly suffer a severe blow. Indeed, if hemp were to become the primary raw material for paper, Hearst's financial empire would face significant jeopardy. Whatever his true motivations, Hearst forged an alliance with Harry Anslinger, leveraging his colossal newspaper syndicate to churn out a barrage of sensationalist articles. These pieces featured lurid, yellow journalism headlines screaming, "Marijuana, the killer weed," and "Cannabis, the assassin of youth," designed to ignite public panic and demonize the plant. This relentless media assault aimed to manipulate public opinion and secure his business interests by eradicating the competition. The peak of this orchestrated campaign of fear was the release of a notorious film in 1936 titled Reefer Madness. If one watches this film today, it appears more like a dark comedy, complete with exaggerated acting and an utterly absurd script. However, in 1936, it was not presented as a farce. Instead, it was gravely introduced as a serious educational documentary. It was screened in numerous schools and churches across the nation, aiming to genuinely inform and deter rather than entertain, instilling a profound sense of dread about the dangers of cannabis among an unsuspecting public. The film's preposterous narrative centered on seemingly innocent, well-behaved, and intelligent white high school students. Their lives, however, were depicted as taking an immediate and catastrophic plunge into an abyss of depravity and madness, simply after being enticed to try a single reefer, the slang term for a cannabis cigarette at the time. The transition was instant and absolute, portraying cannabis as an immediate gateway to ruin. It painted a picture where bright futures were extinguished with just one ill-fated puff, leading to a complete and irreversible moral and personal downfall, leaving no hope for redemption. The film escalates quickly to portray truly horrific consequences. With just one inhalation, characters' eyes would roll back, and they'd burst into wild maniacal laughter, seemingly possessed by an evil spirit. A young man, gripped by a cannabis-induced frenzy, was depicted using an axe to brutally murder his entire family. A young woman, similarly affected, would descend into debauchery, selling her dignity and ultimately facing a tragic end. The grim conclusion for all was either a gruesome death or permanent incarceration in a mental asylum, painting a picture of irreversible madness and destruction stemming from a single encounter with reefer. Harry Anslinger, the formidable commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, cast a wide net, ensnaring even the vibrant world of jazz. He falsely equated jazz music, a free-spirited, expansive genre that challenged classical norms, with the moral degradation supposedly caused by cannabis. With this distorted narrative, Anslinger publicly hunted down jazz artists, transforming them into criminals purely for their personal habits and musical expressions. His relentless propaganda machine, fueled by sensationalist headlines and fear-mongering, painted a terrifying picture of jazz clubs as dens of iniquity, where cannabis use corrupted the youth and threatened the very fabric of society. This calculated campaign of misinformation achieved a phenomenal and terrifying success, far exceeding even Anslinger's own expectations. The carefully orchestrated propaganda campaign plunged the American public into a state of genuine panic. Mothers, terrified by the sensationalized stories of reefer madness, flooded government offices with frantic letters, desperately pleading for immediate action to protect their children from the killer weed. The relentless barrage of public fear and moral outrage created an unbearable political climate. Lawmakers across the nation found themselves under immense, crushing pressure from their constituents, who demanded that something be done to curb this perceived existential threat. The stage was set, and by the fateful year of 1937, the ground was fertile for drastic legislative change, driven by emotion rather than scientific understanding. Finally, in 1937, the perfect legal trap was sprung. The United States government officially passed the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937. This legislative maneuver stands as a chilling masterpiece of political cunning and profound hypocrisy. On the surface, the act deceptively appeared to not prohibit cannabis outright. Due to the prevailing interpretation of the U.S. Constitution at the time, the federal government lacked the authority to ban an agricultural crop directly. This constitutional constraint forced Anslinger and his allies to devise a workaround, creating a law that on paper seemed merely regulatory, but in practice was designed to achieve total prohibition through a labyrinthine, insidious mechanism. It was a clever evasion of constitutional principles, setting the stage for a new era of enforcement. Instead of an outright ban, the act mandated that anyone wishing to cultivate, sell, or even purchase cannabis must first acquire a special government tax stamp at an exorbitantly high price. But here lay the sinister crux of the trap. The government simply refused to sell these stamps. The mechanism was diabolically clever and utterly inescapable. To legally sell cannabis, one required this elusive stamp. However, to obtain the stamp, an individual was required to present their cannabis to the tax office for declaration. The moment you brought your cannabis to the authorities without the prerequisite stamp, you would be immediately arrested for illegal possession. It was a perfect, inescapable catch-22, a classic, nightmarish legal labyrinth with no exit, designed to criminalize an entire industry with a single stroke. Just overnight, the venerable hemp plant, a species with deep roots in American history, was officially transformed into an illicit substance. This was the same plant cultivated by founding fathers like George Washington, cherished for its versatility. It was the fiber that wove the very sails that carried Christopher Columbus across the Atlantic to discover the Americas. Yet, in the blink of an eye, this invaluable resource, a staple for textiles, paper, and medicine, became contraband. Pharmacists, once dispensing cannabis tinctures for a myriad of ailments, frantically purged their shelves, discarding bottles of cannabis extract into waste bins. Farmers, consumed by fear and the threat of prosecution, watched in despair as they were forced to set fire to their vast, bountiful hemp fields, destroying generations of livelihood and tradition. The year 1937 had seemingly sealed the fate of a plant once revered, now vilified. The Marijuana Tax Act had effectively driven hemp underground, ostracizing it from American agriculture and public perception. It was deemed a dangerous narcotic, an enemy of society, and its cultivation became a relic of a bygone era. One would have thought its story was over, its utility forgotten, its very existence threatened by the stroke of a legislative pen. Yet, history, in its peculiar and often ironic fashion, frequently reserves its most unexpected twists for moments of absolute certainty. Just a few short years after its condemnation, the very government that had so vehemently outlawed it would find itself in an unimaginable predicament, forced to turn to the very plant it had so recently cast aside, desperate for its aid. This dramatic turn of events wasn't just a political or economic necessity. It was a profound historical irony that set the stage for a new chapter in the plant's contentious journey. From the blood-soaked battlefields of World War II, a war fought for freedom and democracy, cannabis would once again begin to subtly weave its way back into the fabric of society. Yet, its reemergence would not be limited to wartime utility alone. It would find its path into the very soul of a burgeoning young generation, a generation yearning for liberation, questioning established norms, and seeking new forms of expression. This reintroduction, spurred by the chaos of conflict, would inadvertently light the fuse for one of the 20th century's most relentless and defining cultural wars, forever altering its perception and trajectory. The year was 1941. The devastating attack on Pearl Harbor thrust the United States unequivocally into the maelstrom of World War II. As the nation mobilized its formidable industrial might and human resources, the vast machinery of war began to whir into action. However, amidst the furious preparations for global conflict, a critical and unforeseen vulnerability emerged, a strategic Achilles heel that no one had anticipated. The intricate network of global supply chains, crucial for wartime operations, was suddenly exposed to severe disruption. This wasn't merely a logistical hiccup, it was a potentially catastrophic flaw that threatened to cripple America's ability to wage war effectively, an inherent weakness that lay at the very foundation of its military preparedness, awaiting a swift, decisive solution. The nature of this critical vulnerability became starkly clear almost immediately. Japan, with its swift and aggressive military campaigns, had rapidly swept through Southeast Asia, seizing control of key territories. Crucially, the Philippines and the Dutch East Indies, vital hubs for global trade and natural resources, fell under Japanese occupation. This strategic maneuver had devastating consequences for the Allied war effort. It meant the immediate and complete severing of the primary supply routes for Manila hemp and jute fibers, essential commodities that flowed from these Asian regions to the United States. These weren't mere luxury goods. They were the very sinews of war, and their absence created an immediate and profound crisis that threatened to unravel the entire logistical framework of America's burgeoning military operations, leaving a gaping void in its supply chain. As America was plunged into the maelstrom of World War II, a critical shortage of natural fibers forced the nation to look to an unexpected and previously maligned hero. The much-feared cannabis plant, specifically industrial hemp, was suddenly deemed indispensable. In a swift nationwide effort, Hemp for Victory campaigns encouraged farmers to cultivate this versatile crop. Its tough fibers were urgently needed, becoming the literal threads of the war effort. These crucial strands were woven into the parachutes that carried American soldiers onto the beaches of Normandy on D-Day and forged into the sturdy ropes that pulled heavy artillery towards the gates of Berlin. It's no exaggeration to claim that this once outlawed plant, now a wartime necessity, quietly played a pivotal role in preserving the free world from the tyranny of Nazi Germany. Its contribution was immense, a silent soldier in the battle for liberty. But as the war concluded, as the guns fell silent and the weary soldiers returned home, Hemp's moment of glory quickly faded. Its utilitarian value, once paramount, dissolved with the return of peace. The very government that had championed hemp for victory now swiftly turned its back. The vast fields of hemp, so recently vital, were either summarily burned to the ground or simply left to rot, abandoned and forgotten. The historical narrative of Hemp for Victory was systematically erased from textbooks, an inconvenient truth swept under the rug. Harry Anslinger, the architect of Prohibition, swiftly revived his holy crusade against cannabis, once again relegating the plant to its former status as a dangerous monster lurking in the shadows. The brief, triumphant chapter for hemp was over, replaced by renewed vilification. The late 1960s saw the emergence of a vibrant counterculture, epitomized by the hippies. Dressed in psychedelic colors, adorned with beads, and often going barefoot, they passionately protested the Vietnam War. Their rallying cry, "Make love, not war," resonated through a haze of incense and cannabis, which they viewed as a peace herb. They believed that if global leaders could simply share a joint, conflicts would cease. This perspective made cannabis a potent catalyst for community and connection. In 1969, 500,000 people gathered at the legendary Woodstock Music Festival, sharing not just music, rain, and mud, but also countless cannabis joints over 3 days of unparalleled peace. Remarkably, not a single act of violence was reported. This image of carefree rebellion deeply unsettled conservative America. Parents watched in horror as their disheveled, red-eyed children appeared on national television, burning draft cards and openly defying the government. Traditional values, they felt, were under direct assault. In the White House, President Richard Nixon observed these developments with furious eyes. He saw not peace, but chaos, not a movement, but an enemy. Nixon, elected in 1968 on a promise of law and order, held 2 primary adversaries he couldn't attack head-on: the anti-war left and the black community. Years later, his senior advisor, John Ehrlichman, made a stunning confession. "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings and vilify them night after night on the evening news." When asked if they knew they were lying about drugs, Ehrlichman bluntly replied, "Of course we did." This cold admission revealed the true nature of the war on drugs. It was a political maneuver, not a public health initiative. In 1970, Nixon cemented this strategy by signing the Controlled Substances Act. In 1970, the Controlled Substances Act was seen as the final blow to cannabis. This law classified drugs into 5 schedules, with Schedule Y reserved for the most dangerous, those with no medical value and high abuse potential. President Nixon controversially placed cannabis in Schedule 1, equating it with heroin, and declaring it more perilous than cocaine or methamphetamine, which were in Schedule 2. This decision deliberately ignored all scientific evidence. Nixon had even formed the Schaefer Commission, led by Governor Raymond Schaefer, to study cannabis. After 2 years, their report concluded cannabis was not physically addictive, didn't cause violence, and that its criminalization harmed society more than the substance itself, recommending decriminalization. Nixon, however, rejected the report, publicly denounced Schaefer, and branded cannabis public enemy number 1. Millions, primarily young people of color and the poor, were subsequently jailed for simple possession, while politicians in the White House celebrated their victory. Yet, you cannot truly kill a weed by simply burying it, for deep beneath the earth, its roots silently extend, waiting for the opportune moment. And when a devastating new pandemic emerged in the 1980s, cannabis would resurface, not as a symbol of rebellion, but as an unlikely, unexpected savior. This brings us to the final chapter of our extensive dossier. From ancient plains to Shennung's laboratory, from clandestine Parisian clubs to World War II trenches, and then brutally crushed under Nixon's heel. Cannabis's destiny seemed sealed in perpetual darkness. But as the ancients taught, extremes reverse themselves. The darkest night precedes dawn. Cannabis, remarkably, would rise from its metaphorical grave, propelled by scientific breakthroughs of the 1980s and early 1990s, offering a beacon of hope amidst the ravages of the AIDS epidemic. As the U.S. government remained deeply entrenched in its war on drugs, relentlessly deploying helicopters to burn down cannabis fields and incarcerating thousands, a far more insidious and devastating medical tragedy was quietly unfolding in San Francisco. The vibrant Castro district, once a beacon of freedom, became the epicenter of the terrifying AIDS epidemic. Healthy young men, once full of life, rapidly withered away, their bodies ravaged by lesions, succumbing to extreme emaciation and agonizing deaths. The early antiretroviral treatments, though nascent, were often brutally toxic, inducing such severe nausea that patients were unable to eat or keep food down. Tragically, many perished not solely from the relentless viral assault, but from a cruel combination of exhaustion and profound starvation, a condition known as wasting syndrome. This period was marked by an overwhelming sense of helplessness and despair. In this climate of utter desperation, the resilient LGBTQ+ community and dedicated social activists unearthed a surprising remedy from the past. Patients, discreetly using cannabis, discovered its miraculous ability to quell the relentless nausea, enabling them to eat, regain strength, and find crucial sleep. More importantly, it allowed them to face their final days with a semblance of dignity and significantly reduced suffering. A truly legendary figure emerged during this period, Mary Jane Rathbun, affectionately known as Brownie Mary. This elderly, white-haired woman, who appeared every inch the kind-hearted grandmother, spent her days baking hundreds of cannabis-infused brownies. She then courageously delivered them, free of charge, to the dying AIDS patients at San Francisco General Hospital. Despite repeated arrests by the police, Brownie Mary steadfastly declared in court, "My children are dying. I don't care about your laws. I just want to ease their pain." Her unwavering compassion and defiance profoundly stirred the conscience of America, fueling the burgeoning compassionate care movement. Just as the compassionate care movement gained momentum, a pivotal scientific breakthrough emerged from across the ocean in Israel. In 1992, Professor Raphael Mechoulam, the visionary scientist who had first isolated THC, the psychoactive component of cannabis, in 1964, made yet another groundbreaking discovery. Though never officially awarded a Nobel Prize for it, his work was certainly Nobel-worthy. Mechoulam and his dedicated team successfully identified a chemical substance naturally produced within the human body. Astonishingly, its molecular structure was an exact match to that of THC found in the cannabis plant. He named this intrinsic compound anandamide, drawing from the ancient Sanskrit word ananda, which signifies extreme joy or eternal happiness. This monumental discovery immediately paved the way for the identification and understanding of the entire endocannabinoid system, a vital regulatory network within our physiology. A revolutionary scientific discovery fundamentally altered our understanding of cannabis. Scientists uncovered what's known as the endogenous cannabinoid system within the human body. This intricate biological network exists deep within our brain, spinal cord, and immune system, featuring specific receptor sites, metaphorical locks. Astonishingly, compounds found naturally in the cannabis plant, known as cannabinoids, possess molecular structures that act as perfect keys to these very locks. This revelation wasn't just a coincidence. It unveiled an inherent, profound compatibility between humanity and this ancient plant, suggesting a purpose far beyond mere recreational use. It pointed towards an intrinsic biological partnership that had long been overlooked, ready to be rediscovered. This complex internal system isn't merely passive. It actively regulates crucial physiological processes. It intricately influences our sleep cycles, modulates our appetite, manages our perception of pain, and plays a vital role in memory formation and retention. Essentially, the human body is designed to interact with this remarkable plant. For millions of years, humans and cannabis have co-evolved, sharing an intertwined biological history. This groundbreaking scientific understanding utterly demolished the long-held, politically motivated assertions, like those propagated by Nixon, that cannabis held no medicinal value and was merely a harmful, alien substance. Instead, it was revealed not as a foreign poison, but as a forgotten biological key, waiting to unlock its natural potential within us. With this scientific truth illuminated, the political landscape began to shift dramatically. In 1996, California made history, becoming the very first U.S. state to pass Proposition 215, a landmark bill legalizing medical cannabis. This was more than just a legislative act. It was the first domino to fall in a long line, initiating the slow but inevitable collapse of the formidable prohibition wall. This barrier, meticulously constructed and fiercely defended by figures like Harry Anslinger for over 60 years, finally began to crumble in large, visible sections. Cannabis, once relegated to the hidden alleys and clandestine operations, was slowly, cautiously, but decisively stepping out into the light, paving the way for a new era. Today, the transformation is almost unbelievable. At many locations across the globe, stepping into a cannabis dispensary feels less like entering a clandestine operation and more like walking into a sleek, modern Apple store, bright, clean, and professionally designed. Cannabis companies, once unthinkable entities, are now openly listed on stock exchanges, attracting mainstream investors. Billionaires and influential politicians, many of whom once vehemently opposed cannabis and its legalization, are now paradoxically investing millions of dollars into this burgeoning green gold industry. The plant has undergone a dramatic rebrand, becoming a symbol of legitimate business and significant wealth creation. Yet, this triumph comes with a stinging, bitter irony. While wealthy, predominantly white entrepreneurs legally accumulate fortunes from this very plant, a stark injustice persists. Many Black and Mexican individuals, who were incarcerated for selling mere grams of cannabis during the war on drugs in the 1980s, remain behind bars today or carry lifelong criminal records, severely limiting their opportunities. The legal and social landscape has dramatically shifted, but justice for these victims of past prohibition has not yet arrived. The plant itself has been vindicated, but the individuals whose lives were shattered by its prohibition are still awaiting their own vindication and reparations. Despite the immense human cost and the lingering inequities, one truth remains undeniably clear. The plant itself has triumphed. It survived the crushing societal bans, the relentless pursuit by figures like Harry Anslinger, and the brutal repression orchestrated by Nixon's administration. Cannabis has endured, proving a simple yet profound truth of nature. You cannot declare war on a plant. You cannot truly ban a fundamental part of the natural world. As the night deepens, this extensive chronicle of cannabis history, spanning 125 tumultuous years, comes to a close. From the initial sparks of controversy to the triumphant resurgence, its journey reflects an enduring, unbreakable spirit. From ancient Mongolian steppes to modern laboratories, we've learned a crucial truth. Cannabis is neither divine nor demonic. It's a mirror. When approached with reverence, it serves as medicine, a spiritual bridge. Yet, viewed through fear and prejudice, it becomes a tool for oppression. The plant's nature never changed. Only human minds and fears have shifted over time. The story of cannabis is a lesson in humility, reminding us that man-made laws cannot truly bend nature's enduring principles. What belongs to Mother Earth will always return to her. We hope this journey has offered you a more tolerant, deeper perspective. Now, as the rain falls, let your mind drift like smoke, finding peace. If this series resonated, please like, share, and subscribe to the Nightfall Archive. Many untold stories await on future rainy nights. Thank you for listening. Good night.